I think one of the other magical parts of the sport, like pickleball, is that there's an immediate perceived competence. Because the sweet spot is right off your hand, people can find that ball and serve, rally, and play right away.
Yeah. Somebody who never played can play.
Right.
But you can take that level really high,
which really makes it a special sport.
And we are all things paddle.
Whitney, welcome to Padel Smash Academy. Why don't you talk a little bit about the club that you have here?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Cesc. It's been a pleasure to meet you and your wife, Veronica. I appreciate you coming up from Connecticut and joining us here in southern Vermont in the Wilmington-Dover area. This has just been something that has been a vision of mine for a long time. I've been involved in Padel for about 4 years here in the U.S. and been looking, like a lot of people, for the right real estate to make it happen. It's tricky, as you know, with indoor. To build out new is prohibitive. To find the right building with the right ceiling clearances and the pillars right, et cetera, it's been tricky. So with a little bit of luck with my son-in-law's recent purchase of this spectacular boutique inn that I think you guys have come to see and visit.
So how did you get into paddle? How were you introduced?
I got introduced to paddle in Bedford, New York. I was living in Westchester County working for the USTA and playing winter platform. A guy said to me, "Have you played paddle before?" I said, "You mean what we're doing tonight?" And I think we've all had that debate of how you pronounce it. He goes, No, there's a private court with a guy from France that has this. Do you want to come try? And I said, absolutely. I hadn't heard anything about it. This goes back to probably 2016, almost 10 years ago.
Wow.
And sure enough, we went over there and I was like, whoa, like a lot of us. It wasn't long before I said, this may be the coolest of all the racket sports. I was immediately infected. And ironically, the house came up for sale and the real estate agent said, hey, can you get some eyeballs on this property by just promoting Padel? And so the next thing you know, we had many club owners and managers and people in the industry tasting Padel for the first time, which then segued into the indoor court in Orlando at a rackets conference. A group was invited to Barcelona to go over. I unfortunately couldn't make that trip, but I then partnered with some fellows that are now either retired or moved into other businesses. And I've since been working for AFP out of Barcelona and been championing the cause and been a passionate advocate for it.
So have you played any other racket sports?
Oh yeah, always. I mean, whether it be ping pong or table tennis to platform. Of course, I've been playing tennis almost every day of my life since I was 7 years old. Also pickleball, I've been very fond of that in the last 10 years, excuse me. And so I'm playing them all.
Great.
I think this has quickly risen to my most favorite.
Oh yeah, I was about to ask you that. So I think it's if people who play different racket sports, I believe when they finally play paddle, they're like, this is it. Forget about everything else, you know? So how did you come up with putting together this inn? And let's talk about that a little bit. What is the official name of this? Is it an inn or is it a club or?
Well, it's an inn. It's called the Brook Bound Inn, and it's a boutique hotel that has 3 different buildings with a lot of different choices for your accommodations. And when my son-in-law purchased it this past summer and invited me over for the first time, sure enough, there was a tennis court on the property that had the old-fashioned interlocking panels. And I right away saw a vision, and that was the conversion of that slab to a padel, a pickle, and we left a little basketball on it. We're going to put a beach tennis court above it as well. So again, the smorgasbord of activities that are all cross-training and develop athletes and all just fun. I mean, positive action breeds positive action.
Yeah. So how did you convince your son-in-law to put a paddle court here? He was probably like, what is that?
Yeah,
is that like a paddle of a kayak? I mean, what is that?
That's right. I mean, he's not, he's more of an outdoorsy hunter, fisherman type. So he's not much of a racket sports guy. But in the last 3 years with his being involved with my daughter, he knew I was in the business. He looked over my shoulder. He's so handy that I actually tried to convince him to help me with some installations. And he was going, whoa, this glass is heavy. And the lifts and the lulls and the open top containers. So he got involved from a logistical standpoint early on and saw what was going on. I was traveling to Seattle, to Denver, to Philadelphia, to Austin with many, many projects. And then I started to feed him the publicity that was going on, as we spoke earlier with the New York Yankees buying the TV rights for Yes Network, to the world-class athletes that are segueing into, whether it be Beckham or Ronaldo or Serena or whoever. I mean, a lot was happening. We could see the tipping point of this sport coming to the USA. I sat down with Jake and his mom and pitched it, and they just threw up their hands and said, let's do it. Let's go.
Wow.
So it happened very quickly. I mean, I work with world-class court builders throughout the country that are our distributors of our courts. I have courts in inventory here in the country, and I called my guy in Connecticut, and he rolled it up, and within 3 weeks we had that court up, and then have since done a lot of samplings and get the eyeballs and people trying it. The taste of Padel, as you know. My brother still teases me. He goes, I ask 100 of my friends, what Padel is, and now I'm finding that one or two do, where a year ago none of them know it. Now he runs I tease him, he needs to run with a hipper crowd, but it's happening. We all know that. It's a wonderful game. There's no turning back. This is not some sort of fad or craze. It's
right. So how? I mean, this is Vermont. Okay, like you guys have the first court, to the public, right? I mean, didn't it go through your head like nobody knows this sport? How are you going to market it? How are you going to expose it to people or educate people about the sport here in Vermont?
Well, I work for a private boarding school, the Cesc school, that is of an international nature. So our tennis team is comprised of all kids from Spain and Brazil and Italy and Argentina. So they were very excited, and they've come over here and played. Again, the fact that two of my best court building distributors, Cape Island Tennis and Track, Northeast Padel, Eric Loftus, and the Hinding Group out of Connecticut, they also needed a showcase to show their clients as they're getting all this interest in the construction side and the sales. So we teamed up to say, let's build a place where people could come and touch it, taste it, play it, see it. It's one thing to look at a catalog and talk about it. It's another, as you know, to come and look at it. Architecturally, we'd all agree it's the most beautiful racquet sport structure out there. I call it the human aquarium without the fish, or without the water, rather.
Yeah. So what amenities do you have here? You have, how many courts do you have first? How many courts do you have?
Well, here we, again, many people in the business know, with a tennis court, unless you rejigger the directional of the court and add some concrete or asphalt, with the existing direction of north-south, you can get one Padel court and one pickleball court comfortably on that. We were able to do that and keep a basketball pitch. So we're really 1-in-1, which I felt was the right strategy, as you mentioned, in Vermont, because there are a lot of people playing pickleball here. So they know that sport. It's an easier sell or pitch to say, hey, come play pickleball here, come stay at the inn, or we have a local membership as well. They then come, what's this next to us? They get a sampling, and the next thing you know, it's crossing over.
So do you see that happening a lot?
We do, and besides the other amenities we have here, we're on 33 acres with hiking trails and snowmobiling trails, but we also have one of the largest commercial swimming pools in New England as well, with a 75-foot by 30-foot, 10-foot deep with a slide swimming pool that also adds to the ambience and the amenity package that people will enjoy here.
Okay, so a big question. I just played with you guys, and I see that the ball is a lot slower, which is great on the back walls. So I'm assuming because of the cold, and we were playing in 27 degrees of weather. I couldn't believe it. We were playing. I was playing. I couldn't believe it. When I came down here, I was like, okay, it's going to be freezing weather. Are we going to be able to play? And I get here and you guys have 6-8 people playing. It's pretty incredible. Do you see that? And how many months can you play? And do you see you guys, everybody playing at that temperature?
Well, And first of all, people in Vermont are very hardy. I've come to realize that, as they are in the Northeast in any winter climate. And certainly we know how popular Padel is in Sweden and in Norway and all. So much like as I go back to where I learned in Bedford, New York, I was playing in, if there wasn't snow or ice, I was playing. With a plastic shovel, you can expedite it. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, it was out of play, but we've had a very warm winter. It spiked up to 40 degrees. It melted off. And again, there's natural protection with the glass. So even in the wind, that mitigates it. So much like platform tennis where people are playing in 7 below heat, winter temperatures. Now, naturally, that's elevated and has the slats and you can melt the snow and ice. I anticipate, back to your question, I'll probably be out of business maybe 90 days, a year. But we played 2 weeks ago. We played 2 days ago. We played today. We're probably going to play tomorrow. I mean, right now there's no snow in the forecast for the next week or so. So again, even, by the way, interestingly too, about this court or Padel in general, is even a light rain you're able to play through. Your pickleball, your tennis is done because it's either the clay is too soft, the asphalt's too slippery, but the turf and the sand really mitigates that moisture and creates still sure footing and not a slip hazard. So we've had some days where we played through a pretty good steady drizzle.
Yeah,
so
that's true. That's definitely true.
So again, are we going to someday look at covering it? Maybe. But for right now, we'll probably get 7 to 8 months of play out of these amenities.
And
here.
those other months are because there's snow, I'm assuming, right?
Right. Because it's on the ground, you can only do so much. You got to wait it out.
Okay,
and that's okay to have a few days off.
I don't know.
That's what my visits to Florida are for.
Yeah. If you're addicted to paddle and you can't go to Florida, you're going to be like, watching the World Paddle Tour or the Premier Paddle. That's it,
right.
you know?
Absence makes the heart grow fonder. So you really appreciate the sport when you can't play. And that's, of course, one of the things that I think is driving the interest too, is just the undersupply of courts with the demand and the interest that's occurring in this country. That's why we're all projecting as
big
many
growth.
as 10,000 courts by 2030.
Big growth in paddle,
with the estimated number now, who really knows, but the guesstimate's probably 300 to 350 right now in this country.
So what type of court do you guys have? What manufacturer is it?
Our court is manufactured by AFP, all for Padel out of Barcelona. They have a brand new factory, and I've been over seeing the amazing quality controls. This happens to be one of the aluminum courts. I believe we're one of only 2 companies that offers an aluminum. Why aluminum? It's a 15-year guarantee. It's great for any saline or close to the ocean type of stuff. We do have steel courts that are galvanized and protected. So we offer a variety. We have the panoramic, naturally, for more of an indoor scenario. This court has branded Adidas. You can choose to have it unbranded. So we're the only company licensed with Adidas to brand our unbranded red sport courts that way. So I like having Adidas involved. I think it jazzes it up. We have a little pro shop on site here. I'm an Adidas player. I play pickleball and Padel representing the company. And when we do little outings or tournaments, it's nice to have those gift bags and all the branded tchotchkes. So.
Right, I hear you. Okay, so who's the coach? Are you the coach here?
Yes, I'm certified in Padel as well as the plethora of other racket sports.
And you offer lessons here as well, right?
We do. We have, whether it be group or privates or, little mini camps, we expect to run the gamut of that type of.
Okay. And how much are the lessons per hour?
The lessons are, approximately in the $100 an hour range for privates and less for groups.
I know you guys just opened, but are you guys going to be doing some clinics or maybe some tournaments, leagues?
Yes, we're going to do some kind of like racket challenge events where, again, to mitigate the fact that we only have one court, we'll do some events where you'll play pickleball, you'll play Padel, and you'll play beach, and those results will all kind of cumulatively, who's the best rackets athlete. So we'll have some fun with that. One of my favorite things to do are just simply what I call, open play nights, where there'll be a theme of the night. Maybe it'll be the side glass wall or lobs. So we'll do a little tip of the night, drill that up a little bit, and then just rotate people with a maximum encounter round robin where everybody plays with everybody, both sports, for a couple of hours. That's by level. That'll be, one night will be intermediate night, one night will be beginners, another advanced night. So people love that. It's, as you saw, it's a great social environment. We've got a little barbecue down there and a fire pit if we need it, and the pool, and so
I do see that.
It's a paradisiacal spot.
Yeah, it's great. So, all right, so let's talk about a little bit about the inn. How many units do you have available, and what is the cost? And are you going to be marketing this kind of like come down here and play paddle or racket sport and stay here? I mean, how is the inn associated with a pickle and paddle?
Well, the beautiful thing about Vermont is it's a 4-season destination. I mean, it's a leaf peeping, everybody loves to come in here September through the middle or late October to see the leaves change. The colors are spectacular.
Yeah.
It's a huge equestrian horse country in the summer. There's a big horse show nearby in Dorset that pushes about 6 weeks. You've got the rivers, the lakes, the fishing, world-class skiing. We're within 30 minutes of 5 ski resorts: Mount Snow, Okemo, Magic, Bromley, Stratton. So there's something to do hiking all 4 seasons. Haystack Golf Course is right around the corner. So there's a lot that come here, weddings. So there's things that drive business here already. So this was an added amenity to be unique and be a differentiator. I mean, there are a lot of choices of places to stay. We thought by adding an exotic amenity like Padel and pickle, not every resort has pickleball either, and nor should they because of the noise mitigation. We're lucky here based on the footprint of our property that, as you notice, the court is recessed away from the residential side of things. So there is no, noise pollution really coming from that area. So back to your question about the nice thing about this inn is there's an amazing variety. We're in the main lodge here that has 8 different suites. So the 2-bedroom suite to my left here has its own kitchen, so 2 couples could enjoy that. There's a handicap suite. Most of them have little kitchenettes, but then there's common rooms. We're in the living room. There's a TV room. There's a dining room. There's a communal kitchen. So this main lodge has about 8 different choices, from anywhere from as little as $195 to maybe $400 if you take the double suite, depending again on seasonal demand, etc. Then we have 2 outbuildings. We have the cabin and the carriage house. Those are both separate, detached. They all have charging stations for electric vehicles. The one carriage house can sleep 10 comfortably, a 2-bath, major kitchen, and the other outbuilding, the cabin, about 8 comfortably. So great place for family reunions. We've done some weddings here. So it's got a real nice variety. We're on 33 acres, hiking close to both Dover and Wilmington and to Stratton, as I mentioned, Mount Snow. So it's a great destination. And you can get here. I know you drove up from Connecticut, but my goodness, from Jersey, from Boston. I mean, we're just a short drive from a lot of major cities.
So if somebody wanted to play paddle, how would that work? Do you guys have some type of app, or do they just call and reserve the court? Or is it just something that is available for people who stay at the inn? And is it membership or non-membership? And if there's membership, what does that include and what are the costs? I know it's a lot of questions.
Great question. No, it's an easy one. So again, I did team up with Salix, Salix, as our app provider. I really like Rex Robinson and his app. He does this for other clubs as well, but he was able to do a little customization for us very easily. So that's the app. So if you stay here at the inn, those amenities are included. So you can book. You just go on the app and you look at the schedule of both courts, and you're able to just reserve the court. In order to provide equal access, you can book once up to 2 hours a day, and then as soon as you're finished, you can book again should the courts be open.
Okay.
So that's for the inn, the people staying at the inn. Beyond that, we do sell an outside membership. Historically, this club, before we took it over, had about 70 local members for the swimming pool only. Well, now we're offering a pool and Padel pickle membership, either together or separate. You can choose to just, if you're not a rackets player, just join the pool. If you want both, you can have both. Or if you're not a swimmer or you have a pool elsewhere. So we have the 3 different membership categories. For that, it's annual. And of course, the pool is open from Memorial Day until just after Labor Day. But the racket sports, as we talked about, it's weather permitting. You might play today like we did. And for that, you as a member, like the models of many Padel centers around this country now, as a member, you have advanced booking, a lot of privileges. Advanced booking privileges, same thing. You can book 14 days in advance, 2 hours of time. And your fees are reduced by comparison to someone that might just cold call or come in and say, hey, I'm only here for a day. I'm visiting friends. I'd love to play Padel. Can I book the court? Should it be available? Yes. Same thing. They would reach out or go to the app and book at a non-member rate. If you're interested in those rates, I can share them with you. But
what's a non-member rate versus
the non-member rate? We're starting out again at $60 an hour for Padel, at $32 an hour for our spectacularly beautiful pickleball court.
And if you're a member?
And if you're a member, it's $32 an hour for Padel,
almost double,
and $16 for the pickleball.
And so what is the annual membership cost?
An annual membership
for all 3 things, like the pickle, the paddle, and then the pool.
For a family, it's $1,200. For a single, it's $1,000.
Okay. And then how about if you just wanted the paddle court?
If you just wanted the rackets membership, it's $250 for a single, and $350 for a couple.
Wow. So if you play paddle, it's worthwhile. If you play paddle, it means half the cost.
Yeah, that's right. It's half the cost, and again, and not to mention, because it's a limited number of seats, so to speak, in the plane. When we do these socials, when we do a Memorial Day, racket-thon or a barbecue or those open plays, members will have the first crack at those 8 or 10 or 12 spots. And then if those go unsold, then I would reach out to the non-members. And so there's a lot of advantages to membership.
So how do people know about these events? Is that on the app there?
It is.
It is. Okay.
The app, once you join, whether you're a member or not, we can, there's a notice board, there's email blasts, there'll be a schedule of events. And I'm a big believer too. Hey, being a platform tennis guy, I never was good at calling 3 friends. I needed to be programmed. I needed to know I was in my Tuesday night and Thursday night league, and then I was locked and loaded. And I think there are a lot of racket players are creatures like that. So that's why, if you were up here probably this summer, you'd probably lock into the Thursday night advanced men's advanced co-ed group, and hey, at least now once a week you're over here for the 2-hour clip.
And you meet people too, new people. Okay, so it seems to me like the best route is kind of like to stay here, and then you get access to the courts, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, imagine staying here for whatever price we said for a couple, and then you're playing Padel as much as you want, or pickle. I mean, there might be a little bit of other demand for the court, but there's a lot of hours in the day. So you're right.
Let's go back. I know you mentioned before. So what is the cost of the inn staying here at, let's say, a 1-bedroom versus, let's say, the cottage, right? The whole section.
Well, the cottage, I'm just going to give you a round number. It's probably in the $450 a night range, because again, it's
and how many people does that hold?
It's 8, 10. People.
The family or 2 small families, right?
Right. And this suite to our left, which is a double suite with a kitchen, we just had 2 couples stay in there. That's running around $350 a night. The other single rooms, the one that you and your wife potentially might be staying in tonight, is in the low 2s, I believe. And again, they have kitchenettes in them. It's all modern, as you can tell. The place is very, very tastefully appointed. When I first came here, I thought I was in Jackson Hole or Aspen. I mean, the woodwork, the attention to detail, the moldings, it's first class.
I mean, it's very unique, very amazing. The first paddle court and the public paddle court here in Vermont. It's pretty amazing. I mean, I had to come down here.
Yeah,
and I'm so glad I did. You know,
I so appreciate your initiative in doing it, and you're right. It's fun because again, it's just a great conversation piece when you bring this up. First this put on what a court in Vermont. I mean, it's
you probably get that all the time.
Yeah, it's as we spoke earlier, probably the closest court from us is either Connecticut or Philadelphia or Brooklyn. So it's quite the little spot.
And you get a lot of people coming here from everywhere.
One of my plans too, as I just talked, having been a college coach last year at Oneonta, and having had the high school team out here, it looks like I'm going to get Union College to come out. Williams College practices in Bennington. I'm hoping to get Dartmouth. I mean, there's so many beautiful schools close by that I think their tennis teams have heard of the sport. Yeah. They've seen the courts in Orlando at the USTA National Campus. So it's fun to bring the tennis players over and have them have a kind of a day here. They willy-nilly around with some pickleball and have some fun.
So I think, you might need some more courts.
Yes.
Once people get to know this sport, I mean, one court's probably not going to be enough. So is there any plans in the future for expanding?
That's always part of the plan. I mean, the nice thing is we're not landlocked. We're on 33 acres here. So already my son-in-law says, hey, Coach Whitney, when are we going to cover this thing? I said, well, I'm glad you're thinking about, either covering it with a permanent structure or bubbling it. We are going to be lighting it. We already have the fixtures up. We just need to run the lines. So that'll give us some more hours in the day. I mean, it does stay light here in the summer pretty late, but in the spring and fall, we'd like to extend the day. So, let there be, I always like people waiting for courts rather than courts waiting for people. Right. So once we get to that over demand, then we'll look at the expansion.
So now you said covering it. Are you gonna fully cover it or just put a top on it, or and that would increase your playtime, during the winter and with snow?
That's right. I think we're gonna look at all the different. There's so many configurations and options out there. I'm not the biggest fan of a bubble, so I'm leaning more towards maybe a structure that is A-frame. So, obviously it's highest over the net. And then maybe the sides can be open or closed, open during so now you're guaranteed even in the summer. Now you're not in direct sun. You've got some ventilation going through, but in the winter, maybe you can drop some flaps. So, as you saw today, once you start moving around, there's nothing wrong with playing in 22-degree temperatures.
That's true. When I came out the door, from my car, and I was like, oh my God, this is way too cold. I mean, how are we going to play? And I did some stretches. I got out there. Once it started moving, that was it.
Yeah, I mean, matter of fact, by the end, some of us were in our shorts and just
you could be
normal. And you see that in platform tennis too. I know you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
You'll see guys by the end of the first set that, holy cow.
Looks like all the clothes are in the corner now. At first they had all the clothes all in the corner. But summer. That has some heat coming up, so that helps a little bit, right?
Remember that heat on those courts is not for the comfort of the players. That's to melt
the snow,
ice and snow. And I would say not all the courts in this country have that. I mean, that's kind of a feature that a lot of high-end country clubs have, but you don't find that at every place. And so, it's comfortable a little bit, but it's really there to melt.
Now, did you maybe think of that? Maybe putting something in a concrete, some heat just to get the snow out?
And we've dealt, I know that we did the project for the Philadelphia Cricket Club's 4 beautiful courts, and they investigated that idea and then backed off too and said, we'll just be out of business a couple of days.
Per the cost too, it might not make sense.
And we're still, we were having trouble even discovering in our research, even any clubs, even in Europe that had that. Because we were just, again, you're dealing with turf and sand, and we just wondered how that moisture, that sogginess, how that would work out. And, probably have to have pretty interesting French drains or pitch and drainage to really have that work. And so the risk reward was just too much to embark upon.
So how's the how are people kind of Is there talk in the town about the paddle? You know, are you like the paddle guy here in Vermont? You know, it's the paddle guy. You know, like
Paddle. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, certainly I'm a passionate advocate, and I take my paddle to the pickleball courts everywhere. I do play a lot of competitions and take it and just kind of pass it around and have people touch it and feel it. And again, almost with every passing day, there's more and more that have heard about it now, and they or have a friend from Europe or South America. So it's just a great, conversation piece that gets it going. And now having a place where people can come and try, as you met today. I mean, the one lady drove up from Brattleboro, another gentleman drove over from Dorset, another guy came from Stratton. So I'm getting people that are driving virtually an hour, to come over here.
They will
to play, and they will.
If they play paddle.
That's right.
If it's within an hour and a half, even two, they're coming.
It's got a big draw.
It's just they need to know about it. Usually a snowbirding or into Europe or Florida or somewhere else where they have paddle, and when they come back, they have the itch to play.
Yeah, certainly a lot of the people here do winter in Florida. So again, we're hopeful of a project coming out of the ground in Vero Beach very soon. So a lot of them that have been to the Dade County, Miami, as some of the clubs we've talked about. Boynton Beach has a court indoors in a squash club. Many of the country clubs now, Boca Grove and Boca Raton just added courts. So it's happening fast. The city of Wellington is one of the first municipal clubs in Florida that are bringing it on. So it's fun to watch this wave, the tipping point. Yeah. It's not often a new sport comes to a country, no less has one with the kind of legs that this has. I mean, we're not talking about spike ball here, not doing some spike ball, but this is a sport that is going to have some staying power. It's not going to be a fad.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I see a little bit more difficult in New England and areas where you have the four seasons, especially the winter, the nice, like Florida and Texas, California, it's a little bit easier, but so being indoors, do you think that's going to be key? Or do you think a paddle club can survive without being indoors?
Well, as you know, we're seeing the indoor places coming on board in Connecticut, like Sports House and, of course, Padel House in the city, Padelphia. Padelphia not only has the outdoor courts where we first started with pop-ups 4 years ago in Manayunk and Bala Cynwyd, but now the indoor. So there you got side by side. I mean, certainly indoor is, if you can get the numbers right, people like guarantee of weather and consistency. I know being in the tennis business, if I lose 3 consecutive days or 3 consecutive Tuesday nights to rainouts or too much wind, it's hard to keep your following or your people engaged. Yeah. So there's something to be said for consistency. I'm curious, I'm sure you've had some European folks on your blog that, what are the percentages of indoor versus outdoor in Europe? I mean, primarily in Spain, I got to guess they're outdoors because of the weather. But when you get into the Nordic countries like Sweden, which has a big padel push, I mean, they've got I would think, would be mostly, indoors.
So there's, I think, pros and cons, right? So indoors, you're always limited to height, right? And a lot of these buildings, they're 20 feet, 23, 24. They're not regulation 27. And even at 27, and as you know, lobs or lobos are a very important part of paddle, right?
You're 25 to 30% of the shots.
You're only as good as your lob. That's what they say. So you have that as a con. But again, indoors it's consistency. You're going to play. It's not going to rain. It's not going to be canceled. I'm saying or unless there's a hurricane and lights go out. But you're playing. The worst thing is coming. Okay, I'm going to play Thursday and it's rainy. It's like the worst. So there are some pros and cons. Obviously, it's a lot more expensive indoors. Return on investment is longer. It's more expensive. It takes longer to build. Permits, all those things. Outdoor is obviously less. Return on investment is sooner, and you get all the height. But
That's right.
But you get the even in warmer areas, you still get humidity, you still get heat, sun. So I guess there's pros and cons to both.
Well, one nice thing that, as you were saying, that is pretty cool about outdoor padel is at least wind is mitigated. I mean, you can't play pickleball on some days outside.
No.
I mean,
With a plastic ball,
right,
I
that
mean, the
thing's
wind will take
blowing
it. There's
around.
nothing around there to stop it.
But the tempered glass
Helps.
does help. It not only with the temperatures we talked about earlier, but the wind can be blowing or howling, and it's really unaffecting the game because of your structure there. So that's kind of neat. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I was just in Houston. I mean, most of the clubs out in the Southwest, in Texas and Austin and Houston are outdoors. I did see a couple of indoor courts, but just for a variety of different reasons. But, to have the variety, we'll see. I mean, it's what the market will bear. And I think we'll see a little bit of everything down the road. Again, I think that some people ask me, is it a kid's game? I think much like pickleball has become, I think the demographics are from youngsters all the way up to well up into the years of 70s. I mean, so I think it's pretty much of an equal. I think maybe even in some countries, I think more women are playing it than guys. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. I mean, the ages everybody's playing it. You're right, and I think that's important. I think because if you don't get the youth to start playing, then it's gonna turn out like racquetball or something, where you just an older sport and then that's kind of dying out because you don't have that youth playing, So getting into the schools, getting your kids to start playing, I think is really key. It's super important. Here, in other areas like Spain or Argentina or Europe and stuff like that, it's already kind of established. They already have that. That's why they're so far ahead of us, But I think that's important in the U.S. for sure.
I think one of the other magical parts of the sport, like pickleball, is that there's an immediate perceived competence. Because the sweet spot is right off your hand, people can find that ball and serve, rally, and play right away. But more than pickleball, you have the level up and all the
it's
different
very
shots.
broad, as you're saying, very broad. Somebody who never played can play, but you can take that level really high,
which really makes it a special sport. And it also initially bridges levels. I mean, like pickleball, you and I could grab two people and have fun with it. And again, don't get me wrong, I love tennis. It's been very good to me, but we all know that tennis is very level sensitive. It's just hard to bridge it. There's no real handicapping that has worked ever.
100%. And you're playing singles, all the time too, So finding that person to, it's close to your level is difficult. And somebody you can socialize with, that's even harder.
And the footprint too is tighter. Like pickleball, you reweave the social fabric. You go out the open door there and, you're mixing and matching, very easily. I'm very fond of the turf. I find it very user-friendly on my joints and body. I don't know whether there's a little cushion in it or something, or it's the sand that creates an anti-friction. But I mean, I can play hours and feel.
I think that's definitely it's definitely the turf, but it's also the way you play. I believe in tennis, you're running to one part, stopping and doing your full stroke, loading. It's a lot of stress when you go and stop there, to take that shot all through your body. In paddle, you're not doing that. You got a partner, you're slowing it down, using the back wall, so there's a little bit less of that. You're not stressing if that ball's getting by you, because as long as you know to defend, use the walls, you're just taking your time and getting the right shot. Tennis is left, right, and you're stopping. A lot of pressure on your feet, on your whole body, left, right, and taking those shots. So I think it's definitely better when it comes to the older guys, and your joints and your back, because that was one of the reasons why I stopped playing tennis too, was because it was just taking a toll, on my body, my joints.
The other interesting part of this sport, like pickleball too, is that if you and I were to take a stopwatch and see how much the ball was in play during our hour, it's in play a lot because the ball, you're in that box and the ball comes right back to you. You know, you're not going and fetching it and bouncing. The underhanded serve creates, you know, a very easy point starter. One of the things just I observed too by watching the pros in Miami a couple years ago that surprised me is how I thought they would hit overheads off of a lot of balls that were like 3/4 court. But because the players are so good at coming forward and not being afraid of a hard hit ball, the bounce of those deep lobs and then the cuchillo or the ball off the glass was a real epiphany for me to watch. So I'm cognizant
it probably
of that
changed
when
your
I
game,
play.
right?
Yeah, I thought I needed to cover all the overheads like tennis. You know, you don't let that thing get over your head and bounce. But in this game, you've got to be careful, I think, of not trying to hit a smash from too far back because the good players are going to come in and drop the ball.
So I was talking about before is many different shots and unique shots to paddle, you know. So every position you're at where the ball comes, you know, it's a specific shot. So you don't want to use the wrong shot, you know, at that time. So if you're in the back on that back line and you're gonna take a smash and you're not Arturo Cuello, you're not gonna take that. It's the wrong shot because 9 times out of 10 it's not gonna come back, or you're not gonna put it up or for 3. So the experienced player is just gonna come to the front and then counter smash. So, and then you have unique shots, of course. You know, you have la bandeja, right? You have the vibra. So those are the shots you're gonna use, as you know, to keep your net, you know, or hope that, you know, your vibra is good enough where they're just barely getting, give you a short lob. And then that's when you're going to hit the smash. But I think coming from tennis, I came from tennis myself, you know, the first thing you want to do is smash. And, you know, I had a great smash, you know, which is definitely one of the shots, important shots. But, you know, playing with people who are not that experienced, it worked all the time. But once you start playing with paddle players, you get caught where you're giving away points, you know, and then you start learning. You have to start learning all the shots, all the aerial shots, you know. So that's so I had the same situation, you know, when I first started. You know, it's like, hey, there's other shots, and I can't be doing this all the time. Plus, it exerts a lot of energy. You know, smash exerts a lot of energy. You know, and then, you know, it's a high risk shot. You know, you have to hit exactly. You know, if you hit it too high, you see it going way over there. You know, or it hits the net. You know, so. Yeah, I experienced the same thing.
It's certainly a great thinking person's sport, the geometry of it and reading the angles and the deflections and the rebounds. It just really is an engaging, beautiful, beautiful sport. So I feel privileged to have been exposed to it and be involved, and I look forward to, you know, the journey here, you know, here forward.
Great. Okay, so where can they reach? You guys have a website, or do you guys have a handle for any of the platforms?
Yeah, we have the Brook Bound Inn, Vermont.com as our website. So that's probably the best place to start with.
Okay. And then you have also the app, right?
And then the app is right on there. You can download the app and register.
So that's the first step, really. Just getting the app, and then at that point you can, you know, you can book a court, you know, and from there, can you actually book a place here at the inn, or do you have to call?
No, you can book off the website.
Oh, that's
great. We're also on the Vrbo and Airbnb platforms as well for the inn, not so much for the pickleball padel, although that's probably soon to come. You know.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about paddle and you. What side do you play on, and do you see yourself more as a technical player or more as an aggressive player?
Well, fortunate to be a southpaw lefty. Okay. So early on, one of my mentors was Marcos Del Pilar. You know, he got me started, and so he pushed me over to the right side very quickly. So in tennis, we would call that the deuce side, I believe. And so that way, my forehand is if I'm typically playing with another right-hander, our forehands are to the middle. When my partner's serving, we go the Australian format. Probably the shot that I've suffered with early on, because I used to try to cut it off, was the serve coming into the glass. If I lean that too close to protect that, I felt like first I left the middle open for guys that would knife it down there or gals.
Yeah.
And then also I found that I was maybe taking balls that might have been going into the mesh.
Right.
So with enough trials and repetitions, I've learned to sit back and let the ball kiss off the glass there, that first panel, and then just return it off of that in most cases. You don't want to have that serve reach the second panel.
Right.
So
Right.
positioning, it's been fun, this journey of, I'm a hyper competitive rackets guy, so I'm always striving to get better and compete well.
So you're a lefty, and of course you play the right side of the driver, the deuce. So when it comes down the middle, or there's a nice shot, aerial shot, who takes it, you or your partner?
Well, it depends on who I'm playing with, partially. I oftentimes it's the player that may have hit the last shot tends to be a little more engaged, who's got the diagonal angle, who maybe is in front of the other player. But there's a chance to communicate. So it's just it's just trial and error, and I'm still searching for a more consistent partner as well. Right now, I've kind of mixing and matching. One of my goals in 2024, and Happy New Year to everybody, by the way, is to start to compete more. I want to start playing some tournaments. There's a lot of them. I mean, I visit the USPA website all the time, and so I look forward to competing and finding a multitude of partners to play.
Okay, so what's your favorite racket?
Well, my favorite racket is the Adidas. I'm playing with the Addy Power Control right here. I like the fact it's got a little grid on it. The metal bone as well with the little weighting system. That's the new pickleball racket they just came out with, which was very innovative. I think it's the first ever custom weighted racket. So it seems to have the right amount of balance and feel and control and power, and so I'm enjoying it.
And in Golden Point, if you play Golden Point, who takes it, you or your partner?
Again, it really depends on who seems to be the hotter player at the moment.
Okay, someone who's more consistent that day.
And it might be what our opponents have shown us with their serving skill to that particular side. If they've been very effective at finding the glass on one particular side and have had success with winner serves, then maybe the other player will take that.
Gotcha. All right. So what's your favorite shot?
I love I love the three-letter dirty word lob.
Lob.
I tend to have pretty good feel. I think especially new players to paddle haven't really recognized how deep
important
you
it
need
is
to be. Not only how important it is, but they tend to squeeze in a little tight on the net. And so it's pretty easy to bump it over their heads and get in. And I just love to see them scramble and, run at the ball and figure out what they're going to do next on it.
It's a way to dominate the net.
I also, I've always been a bit of a touch finesse tennis player and pickleball player. So is it the Chiquita?
La Chiquita,
La Chiquita. I love to kind of use what I call the gravity shot and angle it in front of a player and see if they can properly split step and use the crossover and go get that, as opposed to a lot of them, rear back or it gets by them. So, yes, it's fun to drive it and, crush it. But so far, the defensive offensive lob off the return of serve in particular. I oftentimes go over the.
That's not easy either, especially if they got a good serve. Sometimes, for me, if they have a good serve, it's just getting it back. So they can just defend it. And my second one is a lob. Usually that's the case. But if it's a second serve, then I'll go for the lob. All right. So what's your worst shot?
I think my weakness still is being able to properly react to a two-sided hard hit glass shot where I got to learn
the defensive glass.
Right. Working those corners where, when staying near it when it goes by me near and going away from it when it goes by me from afar and just not getting turned around and realizing that you have more time than you think. I do have a lot of platform tennis hours under my belt, so I learned how not to get turned around there. So
Mm-hmm.
I think with enough trials and repetitions with this, I'll get more adept at handling the power drives that have multiple rebounds.
That tends to be most tennis players' difficult shot. It was mine when I first started, of course, defending the walls. You know, it's like the walls. What is that? You know, and then sometimes you'll see people step up to the line and try to volley everything there, so they don't want to let it go back into the back wall. And once in a while, we'll do that too. If they have a good bandeja and I'm like, oh, it's going to be hard to defend. It's going to die in the corner. I'll step up. But before I used to do that all the time. Now I feel more confident. Just practicing with the wall. So that's usually a tennis player's most difficult shot to defend, and it was mine. You know, when I first started.
The other shot I'm struggling with a little bit is when the player really keeps it super close to.
Yeah.
You know, help me with that one?
It's just a difficult shot. There's no like shot you're gonna use. I mean, what I do is, number one is that it's, you know, most tennis players will hold their paddle, I think, with Eastern Continental, right? So they're like this. So it's very hard to get that ball, right, forehand. So, you know, the Continental grip is always easiest in a short, what do you call it, stroke. So by doing that, you can cover close to that glass and just, you know, whereas I think most tennis players are holding like this and they're trying to, it's very difficult, especially with the back walls, you know. So that's also changed. That's also a thing that I see too, is a grip, you know, it's getting used to the Continental grip, a lot of the tennis players, right?
Would you say the pros virtually play a Continental on every ball, or are they?
You mean from paddle? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, honestly, yes, that's where you first start. I mean, but again, you're going to change Eastern and Western, you know, because the ball's so low and you have to get underneath. You know, you gotta change your grip. So for me, I do change my grip based on the shot, but almost 80% is going to be Continental grip, always. That's how you know. But but there's shots that you can't do, or it's more difficult to do if don't have a Continental grip. And the corners and really the back wall, if you're trying to do a big swing and it's going to be very hard. Yeah. You know, you just got to get down in there and short swing and boom, get it over.
Open it up.
Right. So yeah, I mean, that's, I encountered that when I first started playing as well. You know, I think a lot of people do, until you make that little adjustment, because it feels very weird coming from tennis and then coming to use a Continental grip and paddle. It's like, it took some time to get used to. And I think everybody takes some time that comes from tennis to get used to that, you know? Okay, so who's your favorite partner in paddle?
Well, my favorite partner in paddle is probably I play with a Belgian pro here. He's from Belgium, but he's locally a pro. His name is Frank Bonte.
Okay.
He's fun to play with. I also like to play with Carlos Batier, who I mentioned is with Real Turf out in Houston. From a female side, I'm still probably my wife is my favorite.
It's a good answer. Good answer.
Liza, who is a nice pickleball player and a good tennis player, and particularly good out of the air. So her volley skills in tennis translated well over to.
Yeah, definitely tennis players get the volleys, you know. It's just a little change, but they pretty much have the volleys, you know, and the smash. Those are the two things, you know, that are helpful from coming from tennis. All right, Whitney, thank you for coming on the show. You know, I want to wish you all the luck in this venture.
Well, I appreciate you guys' interest in making the journey up here, and con mucho gusto. Hasta el próximo vez.
All right, buddy. Thanks.
Guys, if you haven't already, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications.
And remember, it's free $99. It doesn't cost you anything to hit that subscribe button.
Thanks for tuning in to Padel Smash Academy. We hope you'll find our videos informative, helpful in improving your game and learning all things paddle.
So until next time, keep improving your game. And remember, learn, play, and share.